Hey guys, in the previous video we saw how to add a version control system to our project so that if we accidentally delete an artifact, how we can restore it, or if we want to go back to a previous version, how we can easily do that. That said, we also saw that even though our artifacts were not now protected, but our project in itself was not protected. So let's say if I accidentally delete this repository or if my machine gets corrupted, there was no way for me to recover this project, right? So in this video, what we are going to do is, one, we are going to learn how to have a backup of our project on the remote CI so that even if my machine gets corrupted, I will not lose my work. And the second thing is, by the same process, you are now basically sharing your work with other people so that if you want to collaborate with other people, you can do so. Like other people can give feedback on your work, they can make pull requests on your work, and they can make it better, right? So collaboration is always awesome. So these are the two main goals for this session. Now what are the objectives of this session? The number one objective is to first rename our branch to main. At this moment, if you see, if I do a git branch here, you will see by default git called its branches as master. Now this was the case in past, but there are some very good articles which specifies why nowadays we don't want to call this as master, but we want to call this as a main. Like I remember when we were working with Jenkins, they had this concept of using a master node and slave nodes, but these have their own cultural sensitivity, and we do not want to use those terms anymore, right? I will put a link, I'll put in the description this link so that if you want to read more, you can read more about it. So let's go back. So let's do the first step as renaming our branch to main, and this step is very easy. All you have to do is git branch modify and say main, and if I run the same command again, git branch, our branch is now renamed to main. So that was easy. So now let's go to the next step. Since we already created our project on a local machine, and since we already added git version control to it, let's see if we can publish our project from our local machine directly to GitHub. Now both intelliJ and vscode provide some very easy integrations to do it. So if I go to intelliJ, let's go to intelliJ. Within Git, if I go to GitHub and if I say share project on GitHub, normally it allows you to push it. Like at this moment, it is giving an error that cannot load information for GitHub this, request response, bad credentials. I can imagine the reason why this is happening is, well, I work on multiple projects, like one for my company, one for myself, and that's why, maybe intelliJ is getting a bit confused between which one to pick. So in my case, even though it's giving this error, I'm pretty confident if you try to run it on your machine, it should work for you, right? So let's close this one. Now let's go to another mode, and that is VS Code. In VS Code, you also have an option to now publish your local project to GitHub. So let's do that. Let's click on this. It says publish to GitHub as a private repository. If you do not want to collaborate with people, probably that's the one that you want. But in our case, I want to share this project with others, so I want to publish it to a public repository. So now it says publish to GitHub, uploading files. So let's wait for a few seconds until it does that, and successfully published. And if I click on open on GitHub, you can see we have successfully published our project on 0. At this moment, it's pretty boring. We only have one repository with like one directory with one drawing, so there's not much, but hey, the goal was to be able to share whatever we have with others, right? Now let's learn the other way of putting our project on remote. So let's delete this one first. Let's go to settings, let's go to that danger zone, let's click on delete the repository, and if we put this here, let's delete the repository. So now the repository is gone again, right? So let's now try another approach, and the third approach was, so we learned these two ones, and the third approach was, imagine if somebody has already put a project on GitHub and now you want to use it on your local machine, right? The way you can do it is, like if you want to really start from the scratch, it's very easy. Like you can just go to GitHub, and let's say if you create a new project, let's call it test, right? And add some files if you want to add some files, and if I click on let's say let's give a description, and we can say a dummy project, right? And let's select some files. For example, who cares, I'm going to delete it. So if I click on create repository, so this is one way in which you can, so now a repository exists on GitHub, and if you want to clone it, it's very easy. Basically what you have to do is you can actually ignore all these commands. You can simply go here and you can say code, clone this, and let's say if you open terminal, let's open terminal, and if I say clear screen, change directory to D, and if you say git clone, you have now cloned. So it says test already exists and is not an empty repository. So let's delete this test project because we really want to test this. So let's go to test and let's delete it, right? If I run it again, this is one easy way to clone a project from remote to your local machine. So if I do test, now we have a test project with all the files that we created on the remote machine, right? So that's another way. Now let's imagine that we don't want to use this test project, but you really want to create a project for 0. Now let's do that. Maybe we can first delete this project because we are not going to use it. So copy paste, delete, and now let's create a new repository and let's call it 0, right? And 0 is going to be our 0 is a core test automation project that can be used as a basis for any kind of test automation projects such as API, browser, mobile, right? At this moment we're not going to add any of these files because I think I'm going to cover in detail each of these topics, like what are the problems that they solve and how to do it in a proper way. So for now we will just skip this step and we'll just click on create repository. If you see, you have a bunch of instructions here, and it says if you want to create a new repository, then these are the commands that you follow. If you already have a repository, then these are the lines that you can run. Maybe we can just go through these lines and see what these lines are telling us. So basically in the first approach, it says if you do not have any repository, you can actually create a readme file. You're passing echoing heading 0 into this file. Then you initialize the git repository. Then basically you are saying stage this readme file by the git add command, and then after staging the file, you are committing this file with this message first commit. Then you are basically renaming your master branch to main branch, which is what we already finished. And then as next steps, it's saying if you run in your local machine these two commands, then you can first add this remote to the project, and then you should be able to push the project onto this particular repository, right? If you look at the other case, this is exactly the same three commands, which is basically rename the branch, add the remote, and basically push your code from a local machine to the origin on the remote, right? So let's do it this way. Since we have already renamed the branch, let's just copy this one. And by the way, like, it does not matter, you copy this or you copy this, they're exactly the same commands. So if you want to do this, you can also copy this. And if we go back to VS Code, let's open the terminal. Let's put this command. It says remote origin already exists, because, well, from when I try to publish my project from VS Code, it already added the remote, so I forgot that part. So basically, if I want to like copy it from there, like if I reverse the process, maybe I should have first removed this remote, but it does not matter. Like if you want to remove a remote, I can also show you an article. I just quickly searched it. If you say git remote remove origin, it would remove your remote. In fact, let's do that. Let's just see. So if I do a git remote remove origin, now our remote is removed. And if I try to add the same command again, this time it should work. We did not got any errors, right? And now let's go back and run this last command, which was git push update origin main, because this is already done. So let's go back, git push update origin main. And basically what this is going to do is, if we go to GitHub, earlier there was nothing on this project. We created an empty project, but if you click on this again, you see what we had on our local machine is now published on our remote machine, right? At this moment, this project is pretty boring. It has just one directory with our end-to-end test workflow, but there's not much to it. And that's also what GitHub is telling us, that hey, why don't you add a readme file and tell something about our project? And this is a natural progression to our next topic, in which we will add a readme file, which are basically the standard of talking about your project. And what we're going to do in that readme file is we will mention what our project goals are. We will talk about what our project objectives are, so that you know what you can expect to learn in the coming sessions, right? And I think there we will mention all the fancy things, that will make our test automation framework pretty powerful. So let's go back to that topic like in the next video. So I hope you learned something new in this video, and I look forward to see you guys in another video. See you. Cheers. Bye bye.